106. Cigarette, you got that filter tip, and all of the ashes are lit as I breathe in. You're on my lips, you're that nicotine kiss. When I feel a little down, oh, you give a little lift. 'Cause when it's your first one in a while, it'll go straight to your head. So, son, oh, son, make sure she's worth it. Ooh, coffee sip, you're that black top fix. Cool when summer sun is high, but you're hot when I need it. Ooh, you got some grit in my teeth and breath. Motor running really high and my jaw begins to click. 'Cause when it's your first one in a while, it'll go straight to your head. So, son, oh, son, make sure she's worth it. 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 Make sure she's worth it.
Well, everybody, welcome back to another fantastic week of Malty Music Mondays. I'm here with my good friend Tim Weaver tonight. It is actually nighttime this time. Usually we pre-record in the daytime, not this time.
No. It was Sunday night and it's all we could do.
Yep. So, we start off with one of your originals.
Yes.
You want to tell us a little bit about that one?
Yeah. I wrote that a few years ago. I probably wrote that 3 or 4 years ago. And it was after went through a really crappy breakup. And after that, I kind of had a lot of self time and like reflecting on why that happened. I and then I was reflecting on other relationships, and I was just thinking to myself about some of the like dates I've been on or things I've done. Not terrible things, but just like choices that probably weren't smart, and you just have those cringy like, oh, that wasn't a good idea, sort of things with relationships. And I thought about how I really always get in over my head, usually, or at least I did when I was younger. I tend to romanticize stuff, so I thought about how it's kind of like when you haven't smoked for a while and you have a cigarette or like a drink or coffee, or like you're just coming off of Lent or something, just getting back on the horse. but I don't smoke or anything like that. But I remember like if I was out drinking with friends and I was always a cigarette bum, and I would take a cigarette and take a drag and just be like, oh. Yeah. So that kind of prompted like that's what it's like when you don't think things through, or when you don't like when you kind of push things too far, or you project too much. So so a few years ago when I was going through a rough time, I wrote about that, and that's what came out.
Well, I love it. I mean, you just explained that metaphor. That's my favorite part about that. The song that catches me is those metaphors you use for it. But that's another question I just thought of, though. I feel like lyrics are really important to you.
Oh, yeah.
That comes through. So do you think, like, is that something in your writing process that you're always... I know you're not always writing the same way every time, but, like, do you feel like your lyrics are the focal point and then you just build around that most of the time?
I think that's usually how it is. Like, a lot of it is, like... more not stream of conscious, but like just always that self-reflective time. Like I have another song called Stranger, and it was literally I just wrote down like these little stanzas, and I didn't have a melody. Sometimes I'll have a melody that'll pop in my head, and it'll be like the inspiration strikes, so you go for it. But this was more like I wrote these stanzas down, and then once I had them all down, it's like the melody just kind of came naturally after it, like the rhythm of it and like the bounce of those stanzas. But the lyric, if I'm not happy with the lyrics, like I won't, it will not. Like another song of mine has 4 stanzas, which it doesn't need it, and I would show it to my friends before I released it, and they would say things like, "That's just kind of long. Do you think you need that 4th stanza?" And I'd always be like, "Yes, duh. Why would you? Of course I need that stanza, you imbecile." But yeah, lyrics are very, very, very important.
Yeah, I've found it's probably just some deep thing with me, but people I really connected with as like other musicians have had that common thread where I feel like I'm always the same way with lyrics, that it's like it's vital to me that it's coherent and it has a point.
Yeah.
And it has something to it. It's not just, I mean, I know a lot, maybe it's a genre thing too, but I feel like there's some people that can get by with like catchy lyrics and they don't really need to have death.
Yeah.
Death. And they don't need to be about death either. Death. Sometimes they are.
Oh, I thought you said deft, which I thought was like, deft. That's funny. But it wasn't. It was just death, guys. Which that's funny too. It's funny. But it might be a genre thing, because like my big people were like Death Cab for Cutie and Pedro the Lion and Me Without You, and like all these people who are like really word heavy and words that you're just like, how did they even fit that in there? Yeah. So I definitely was always connecting with those more. I never really liked pop. Pop never did it for me. But pop is masterful at doing like a feeling with not a lot of words, which is like kudos to them, because I can't do it, or at least not yet. You know, like
that's
so
a special thing. Yeah. So you've been kind of self-releasing stuff for pretty much through this year. Like when was your first single?
March.
Okay.
Yeah, my first single was March, and that was You Were in Love. Right. And I had that for a while, and then I would show some people, and it was really different. Like I was always more like the emo, like rock. Like I'd always liked playing electric more than I liked playing acoustic most of the time. I studied classical guitar in college, but I was always more inclined to like, I want to be loud. Always loud. But then I got I got certified in Pro Tools, but then my friends showed me how easy it is to like do stuff in Logic, and so I just fiddled around, and then it came out like this sort of. It almost feels like a electronic like John Lennon sort of intro with like la la la's and stuff that I would never do, and so then I was like, oh man, I wonder if I should do anything with this, and all my friends were like, yes, you dummy, just do it, because I never really go for it. So I started in March, and then I released another one. My plan was to like do every month. It's not easy to do that. And then I did like July, and then last month I just released another one with a friend of mine. My friend Letitia Joy sang vocals in that one. So yeah, been self-producing and self-recording in my apartment and out near Philly. So yeah.
So for everybody that is watching, those 3 singles that Tim is referencing can be found in the description here. It's a link to his Spotify page. So definitely check those out, and then we'll probably be looking for some new stuff in the new year maybe, right?
Yeah, I've got a couple that I'm trying to work on a music video, which is something I've never done before. And it turns out when you message locations, when you and your director start messaging people and say, we're an independent film and music company and we don't have money. Turns out that narrows the field a lot. So we're kind of working through. One of the songs in particular is going to be like a pretty big push and a pretty big launch. So if you look for that in the new year, probably in the spring, is more likely the scenario, because I'm going to be trying to play out more than I am.
Is there anywhere regionally people can see you live?
I have one more show for the rest of the year, and that's the 28th with So Far Sounds Philadelphia. And if you... they're kind of tricky. So I know there's probably going to be a couple locations, but if you apply for tickets at sofarsounds.com /Philadelphia, then you can probably find the one that I'm going to be at. But that'll be my last show of the year. And then we'll start booking for... Well, I'm starting to book for 2020.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Equal vision.
Well, let's swap over to the little beer tasting.
Okay.
So tonight, for anybody I think that's really in the Northeast in general, you'll know about Victory. I mean, there's too many beers to kind of mention that you've probably seen. But this is one that I've never had. I don't know if you haven't had this before.
I don't drink Victory a lot.
Yeah. So it's Java Latte. It's a cold brew milk stout, and they did this with One Village Coffee, who I think's in Souderton. They have really good coffee too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Huh. So what I like about it, that we were trying it a little earlier, and it doesn't drink like it's 8.2, but at least I don't feel like it drinks like that.
Mm-mm.
Let's just try a little tasty taste again.
It smells like a milk stout.
Yeah.
Like, it definitely has that sort of... It's not quite boozy. But you're right. Like, when it goes down, it's not like a typical, like, I feel like 8.2, like, IPAs, like, just burn all the way down because they're so tart. But this is smooth. That's that smooth Java taste.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So they had, if anybody's been to the brewery last year, they had Java Cask, which I don't think they did with One Village, but it was basically a milk stout that they were aging for a couple months, and then they were putting in those big bottles. So I think that was still like 8 or 10%, and I feel like you could tell a lot more. Like you could really just sit there for an hour before you finish it. So I like this as something lighter.
Yeah,
that's not light at all.
And it might be because it's made with milk sugar, right? Or milk and sugar or whatever.
So it's creamy.
It is creamy. Love that smooth cream. Love that creamy drop.
That's our closing line right there.
Love that creamy drop.
So, Timmy, love having you over.
Oh, so great.
Glad you finally do this with me.
It only took us 3 months to
figure it out.
Yeah.
But if you guys are, looking for new music, please check out Tim's music on Spotify. It's also on Apple Music, like if you listen to Apple Music. We were just talking about that earlier. That's fine if you do. It's there. So, yeah, check it out and check him out, hopefully, at a show.
And are you announcing your...
Oh, yeah,
What we're doing? Yeah.
I can say that here, so if you're watching tonight. So another exciting update is that a lot of you have been hearing about my new EP release. Finally, it's coming January 10th. It'll be here in Lancaster at Tellus 360. And it'll be downstairs in the Speakeasy. And the best part is, Tim will not only be opening that show, he'll also be joining me for my set and laying down some lead work and some other fun stuff. So that's a great show, I would say, to come and see both of us.
Yeah.
On the same bill.
Yeah.
So more about that, in the next week or two. There'll be a ticket link and all that stuff. But very excited to release the new EP myself, and for us to play together in two different forms for a night.
Yeah.
So.
Oh.
That's gonna be the best.
So
It'll be better
excited.
than this beer.
It'll be better than the beer.
Yeah. So, well, my friends, here's the tagline. Thank you for joining us for a virtual pint this Monday.
Oh.
And we hope you have a good rest of your Monday night and rest of your week. Cheers.